So I'm really excited about 2020. It's the start of a new decade. We've got major infrastructure projects coming along. Queen's Wharf is moving forward. Cross River Rail project is steaming ahead. The Brisbane Metro project will get kick-started. And that really is a really exciting project for the city.
As those transport hubs and links make it easier for people to get to work, the CBD and this space cannot absorb that 2 million that are going to be working here. So we need to find ways to have those satellite hubs and clusters outside of this city to unlock those spaces. So I absolutely see that as a real driver over the next 10 to 20 years.
So what we see around investors and investors' interest or investors' interest in infrastructure is when they see a city that is investing in infrastructure, it to them seems like a city that's moving forward. And in Brisbane's case, that's exactly the case. We're developing infrastructure, we're building infrastructure because we have a growing population. That means growing consumption. But that growing investment also means that people need more office space, they need more industrial facilities. So when our investors look at things like infrastructure spend, they're not only looking at it from the perspective it's great that infrastructure is being built. It helps people get and move around a city well. Commute times are less, which leads into livability of a city. So Brisbane is well known for that livability, ease of commute, those sorts of things. I mean, we tend to always talk just to Cross River Rail and the Brisbane Metro, and they're amazing projects for the city, and investors respond really positively to them as well. But it's a constant investment that we're making through the Brisbane Airport Corporation and the Port of Brisbane that are really helping to stimulate that economic growth and economic activity. So one of the things we see with the growth in the airport, not only with its land size and the new runway, but we are really seeing that growth of the airport with new aviation capacity coming in as being really important for the city. When we look at it, a plane is made up of three broad components, if I can think about it like that. There's the business class end of the plane, the front end of the plane, which is about encouraging more business people to come and consider your city, think about your city, do trade with your city, invest in your city. You've got the economy part of the plane that's the big amount of people movement. It's usually the largest number of seats, but then people often forget that the belly of the plane is always full of cargo. And so when we think about these new airlines flying into Brisbane for the first time to new destinations, it opens up huge new markets for us from a trade and investment perspective. So if you think about some of the exciting ones coming up, obviously direct flights to San Francisco starting in the early part of the year, followed by Chicago coming online. And Chicago, the link between Brisbane and Chicago will be the first time we've had direct flights between Chicago and Brisbane. And we look around the city, a number of the buildings, a number of the big industrial companies that are actually active here in this city are headquartered in Chicago. It's such a major hub. So if you look at that and you combine that with the tourism aspect of what we're seeing with new flights from Thailand, other parts of ASEAN and that further development, that's a really, really huge opportunity for the cities.
So Chicago is a really exciting link for us. Chicago is very similar. It's commodities based, but a real food and beverage hub with major global brands that we would love to see more involved in our ecosystem here in Brisbane.
Those direct flights, I think we're going to enable more free flow of talent and also capital between the two kind of regional areas. At the moment, there's a fantastic arbitrage opportunity in that there's some highly skilled companies and great value companies compared to what you typically get in the United States. So company valuations here for the same talent and capability are much lower than that in the US. So it allows for capital to come here, invest in some really interesting early stage companies, and then see a nice uplift in valuation and value if they expand across to the US. So I think the more direct flights and connectivity we have to major technology innovation centers such as San Francisco or Chicago in the US will really help drive and improve the local ecosystem here.
If people can get to your destination, whether it's to visit or to actually come for a conference or come and do some business, you're more likely to get them back again. And what we say about Brisbane is it's always good to get people on the ground, let them experience Brisbane, because it is one of those places that if you haven't been to for a few years, you're missing out on what Brisbane has truly become, which is not only Australia's new world city, but one of those real world cities that people are coming to and saying, wow, we really love Brisbane. We want to do more business there. We think that the investment pathway for the future is really positive, and that obviously leads to a lot more economic activity in the city as well.